Thank you, Ian Thompson of The Register. That's actually a good tip, the smudges on the... Never would have thought about it. Look who's here! Oh my God!
Oh my gosh.
Catherine Hall.
Leo Laporte.
CatherineHallStudios.com.
Twit.tv.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. For many years, Catherine and I did a wonderful show called Twit Photo, and we're really glad to have you back.
Yes.
You were here for New Year's Eve. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
And now we have a lovely model for you.
That's me.
And you're going to show us how to what?
We're going to do a couple quick tips on how to create flattering portraits.
Now, Catherine is famous. She is a much in demand.
First of all, have the model shake the
I
booty.
couldn't help it. It was calling me. It wanted to be.
Catherine is a very in-demand wedding photographer, but you do great portraiture. We met in Tasmania on that wonderful photo journey to
trip of a lifetime.
Trip
Thank
of a
you,
lifetime.
Mikkel
Holland is incredible.
Love you.
And you took some amazing portraits. Those were in natural light, not in a studio setting. Are we going to talk about how to do it in a studio setting, or?
Well, this would be applicable to studio or
anywhere.
natural. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to do.
We found somebody who really needs help here.
I need some help. I need somebody to take a flattering photo of me.
So what are you using right now?
I have my 85. This is a beautiful portrait lens.
Okay. Because 85's long, so you're going to stand way back here.
Yeah. So the key is between 85 and 135 is 85 to 200 really is kind of the magic number for a really beautiful compression.
Not wide angle, in other words.
No,
you want
not
a
wide
long
angle.
lens.
Long lens because it compresses in a way that's flattering.
And if you have a zoom out to the long part of the zoom.
Exactly, exactly.
So if you have a bride, a lovely bride.
A lovely bride.
Or it could be like anyone. It could be your Lisa when you're traveling.
Could be my lovely wife, my former bride. She's still my bride, right?
She's a bride very recently.
Could be your daughter.
Right.
It could be men. Could be anyone.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about posing first.
All right.
So one of the worst. So think about camera. Easiest way to think about it. Whatever's closest to the camera is going to distort it as looking the biggest, because it's two-dimensional space.
Right.
Right. So for example, if you stand like this, which people do.
People
like,
thrust.
A lot of times you say like, lean up against
Not a
the
good
wall,
choice.
You guys
and you kind of lean
want
like
this
that.
to be a big old focal
Now
point?
they tell me all this time.
But that's actually a common thing. Say like, okay, I'm gonna have you. Oh, I'm gonna take a picture of you, and then, ooh, I'm restricted.
Okay, let me get out of your way.
You go like this, right?
We're tethering.
People do that all the time.
Yeah.
Or they lean like this.
But that makes your hip and your lower body stick out. Okay,
all right.
So that's going to look much bigger.
So we're going to do before and afters. So Sarah's a good sport. She's
and we'll show you these pictures as we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So okay. So the worst thing you can do is have someone, particularly female, like straight on, because that's the way they're going to look the widest. So
the widest?
Yeah. We don't want them looking
wide. You
wide.
want to see shape.
So I'm gonna propose her in a not a good way first.
Okay,
Sorry, Sarah. We're gonna work with me on this.
Sure.
So we're gonna be wide.
Let's be.
The next thing too is we're going to stick our.
She looks like the Hulk.
Women want their breasts to look bigger. Their waist to look smaller.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but instead of doing
goes.
that, we're gonna kind of have our nice little wide stance, and we're gonna kind of just stand.
Do you do this
forward.
with your brides?
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could even and people will do this.
This is their most important
seems
picture of their life.
But they do this. Like
they
you just stand
beautiful.
here like this.
That's
so
not a good.
Stand still, kind of, and then you can kind of
I should be
back.
before and Sarah should be after.
We're trying to prove a point here, Leo.
Okay.
Okay.
You're never going to get me looking good.
All right.
So Sarah's standing right or not?
Okay, and then you can even bring you just have your arms kind of hang down.
See, we're going to make Sarah look terrible.
Another thing that people will do, often if they're laughing or whatever, they'll pull their head back, and we'll give them kind of a double jig.
This is a great segment.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't know this was going to happen. I apologize.
She loves me. She's got this.
Try to return. You got me.
This will teach you to leave,
But
Twit.
she still looks tiny.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right, we'll run with that.
Yeah. Hope you liked it.
Okay, there's the shot. Now let's make it good.
We're going to bring the feet together, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And then we want to push your hips back so that we don't want them to be facing straight towards the camera. So we're going to kind of turn their body this way. Okay. Their face can be looking straight towards the camera, but body kind of turned. And then we want to create a little bit of shape in the legs. So you want to have them push this leg, whatever leg is closest to you, forward. And what that will do is naturally push their hip back. So it's going to distort, and it's going to create a much more womanly shape, and it's going to push the hip back, and it's going to distort in flattering ways. And then another thing you'll say is chin forward and down. So we're not getting
I feel
that
like
double
a
chin
million
effect.
teens on Instagram have
Well, that's
already
what's
heard
funny.
this advice.
That's what's
It's all-
funny.
It's always the same
You
thing.
see a million pictures like this.
And do the hip pop and have the arm out so your arm looks skinnier.
Yeah. So then the hand on the waist, the key with that is, a lot of the reason why people do that is it creates an illusionary waist. So it makes you actually look skinnier. So if you look at how my waist looks skinnier when my hands are up.
Yeah, because you're.
So the key is people naturally put their hand here.
No, don't.
No. You're gonna put it on the skinniest part. And actually, I usually recommend putting it on, if you're gonna have this pop forward, then just from a symmetry perspective.
The other side.
Yeah.
Pretend you're a loaf of bread and squeeze the middle.
Yeah. We're gonna do our after on this one.
This feels so natural.
But you look so beautiful,
Well,
Sarah.
that's an important point. Often the most natural is the least attractive. Beauty is pain, isn't it?
Right.
Well, I think a big part of it too is like we're in an environment where she's not really feeling it 100% because
no, really not.
But-
this is super awk.
but let's just say she's someone that like is wanting her picture taken. You
Right.
know, I'll like work with them a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Right.
okay, let's push. Oh, you look so good. Push your hip
Right.
back. Oh, that looks amazing. And then they'll get really into it.
That's okay. Now this is a tip for the photographer.
Your
Do you talk to
enthusiasm.
them?
Yes.
And you say how beautiful they are?
Yes.
Oh, I'm loving this.
And
This
you can't
is
be
great.
fake, Leo. You have to look like you got to.
You have to believe it. Oh,
yeah.
you're beautiful. You're beautiful. I love it. That's great.
Oh yeah, arm
oh,
right
you're
there,
looking
perfect.
good.
Lots of
Okay.
feedback. Get them
Okay.
incited because they
Because
always
you're just
say
it's sort of distracting them from the awkwardness of what's going on.
Exactly.
And you're reassuring them that what you're seeing as a photographer is
it's
looking good.
Exactly.
That's for me as somebody who's when people are taking pictures of me. I wonder, well, how crappy does that look?
Yeah.
So this way you're
especially if they're,
reassuring
like,
me.
frowning or something.
Yeah, or sticking my stomach.
No,
out.
a huge part of they always say that a big part of photography is the subject's reflection of the photographer itself.
Right.
And that's
why all my pictures look
enthusiasm is really
terrible.
important. So you can see the before and afters. We'll move on to our next tip. Lens choice.
Lens choice. I don't know. Well, you don't. I mean, a nose could be. I know that if you, like with your camera phone, which is a pretty wide-angle lens, if you get right in there,
Oh yeah.
your schnoz gets
yeah.
like inflated. So that's would be
A
a
lot
bad
of people
thing.
don't want that.
Yeah.
Don't want that.
So a lot of times with camera phones, the key is to zoom in.
Yeah.
And get back.
Get
People
back.
won't do that though.
Right.
You'll be like, "Ooh, can you take my picture?" And then they'll stand right here.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, that's one reason you're using that lens, right? So
yeah.
you don't have
so
to.
we're
do
gonna switch this up a little. I'm
Uh-oh.
gonna put on something that's gonna replicate more of what a camera lens would be. A
camera phone. Camera phone. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got there?
This is a 16 to 35.
Okay. So it's a little
and
more
everything
wide.
for people that are. This is a full frame sensor
Yeah,
for anyone
right.
that's curious. So this is wide. So we're gonna kind of get right in. This is what often happens. You know, it's like, oh, can you take a picture of me? And then they get down.
Let's see that. I want to see how ugly that. How ugly can you make Sarah?
This is so weird.
You look great. You look fine. That's gorgeous. She looks great. There's a sun coming out of her head.
Yeah, that's the framing. That's
Should
a
we think
whole
about
other
that?
issue.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is obviously not
I look
flattering.
like I belong on a fresco in a church or something. In
That's
that
what I
photo,
thought.
You know.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Orthodox.
It's obviously not flattering.
That's your halo.
So just look at this difference between what we can do and achieve.
So we're going to make it
between-
look better
Yeah.
with a longer lens.
So changing nothing other than the lens
But if
itself.
you didn't have multiple lenses with a camera phone, you're saying step
Just
back, zoom in.
zoom in.
All right.
So it's the same thing like you mentioned at the beginning of the show. If you have a zoom lens going towards the higher number,
Okay,
it's going to
okay.
do that same compression.
Zoom it.
So now it's going to be, yeah, see, she's gotten right into
A lot
character.
of selfies don't look great. I think that's part of the reason, especially if you're doing it yourself. You're really close.
You can see the before and after. Obviously, lens choice.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it
All right.
becomes very crucial, and zooming in. And then our last tip is lighting. Let's get Trey in here.
Trey Radcliffe. All right. Me and Trey. Trey Radcliffe, everybody, from StuckInCustoms.com.
Yay,
Great to see you.
Trey.
Is that you're an Arcanum teacher,
Yes,
aren't you?
I am an
Is this the
Arcanum.
Arcanum on here?
Yeah.
No, this is one of our secret symbols. We have a seance we
Oh,
go through
nobody
every
will
day.
know.
So here's the deal.
Yes.
This is a common situation where
dark.
it's actually, I'm gonna have you guys stick them forward just a smidgen.
This would be a good photo of
Yeah,
us. I'm excited.
yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah,
too.
this
We
is
could
gonna be
we
cool.
could
Yeah,
use this.
yeah,
This
yeah.
could be my Facebook homepage.
Don't put this pressure on me here. Okay, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
This is a very common, like if you're in a city environment or if you're in trees and it's overcast.
Yes.
So we have the soft source above us,
Yeah.
and
it's dark and
it's not too.
not flattering.
It's not flattering in the sense of at least it's not like crazy sun, but it's not lighting up your eyes.
have
You got
dark
dark
circles, exactly.
Toppy is no good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do before picture.
All right.
And there's 2 views, so I have to get back kind of far. Oh, jeez.
Too much tongue. That's just stepping stones, Leo. Stepping stones.
Work my way up.
Yeah.
You should have saved that moment from when we were lighting you properly.
Yeah.
No.
How is he going to Facebook profile this? All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play. So you can see when you look at the image that there's going to be underneath the eyes are lost. They look like dark sort of, I'm not sure why it's popping up.
You
Dark
don't even
circles,
see my eyes. I
not
look
good
like little
contouring
slits.
on the face. So when you're working with sun, the sun's there. So depending on where the source is coming from, you'll use the reflectors in different ways. But since it is coming from above in this toppy environment, such as a cloudy day, then we need to capture it and do it at an angle.
And Ryan's actually looking at the result, right? So he's kind of adjusting that.
Yeah. So this is going to fill up. What this is going to do...
That's very attractive,
Leo, beautiful. It's going to soften the features and get rid of those harsh shadows.
Yeah.
But more than anything, we want eye ping.
Eye ping.
So let's remove it for a second.
I want eye ping.
And we can see there's nothing in their eyes. They're dark sockets.
They're dead.
It's
They're dead.
not
We
attractive.
look like zombies.
2 crypt keepers.
Yeah. But now let's bring it out. Let's bring some life to their eyes. Beautiful. And that's as easy as just a simple reflector. All right, and I'll do the... You're killing me, Leo. Wait,
what if
it has to be, the before and afters have to be the same, so I think you have to kiss them again or something. There we go. Perfect.
Doesn't
All
have
right.
to be so noisy. It's just a photo. There's
It's either tongue or noise, Trey. Take your pick. Tongue or noise.
That's great. My husband and I, look at that. Thank goodness they legalized it. Yep.
So anyway, as our final tip today, in summation, using reflector, particularly on days that are when it's overcast out to fill
the
in
light
eyes.
makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't we love light?
Yes, we do. You know, I'm jealous. I didn't get kissed this whole segment.
You have to get in front of the camera from now on. Catherine Hall is the best. Trey, we're going to see you in just a little bit. I love talking about photography, and
we love
I'm so
talking
glad
about
that you could be
photography
here.
with you, Leo.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Thank you, Catherine. CatherineHallStudios.com.
And thanks, Sarah.
Sarah Lane. She's run off. She's not going to be with us any longer.
She's scared I might put her back in.
Hey, let's take a break. We want to see what Jeff Jarvis has to say about ways to be selfish.
I'm Jeff Jarvis, a co-host of This Week in Google. And my tip is, of course, that I love Waze. And I'm telling you, always listen to the Waze lady. If the Waze lady tells you to go somewhere, go there. If you don't, you'll regret it. She'll get back at you. But here's my tip. I have to say that in New Jersey, which is traffic hell, I have a few secret routes. And you know what I do? I'm going to confess. I turn off Waze when I come to my secret route so I don't share it with anybody else. It's ungenerous, uncivilized, and selfish, but hey, I'm from Jersey. You got a problem with that? That's my tip.
Yeah, I got a problem with that, Jarvis. Jeff Jarvis, ladies and gentlemen, ways to be selfish. I love that. You know who's the least selfish guy I've ever met? This cat right here. He's a beautiful, beautiful human being. Mr. Trey Ratcliffe. Nice to see you. I thought you lived in New Zealand. What are you doing here?
I brought you a present from New Zealand.
Oh, you did?
You know, I have a farm down there, a little family
Do you
farm.
really? You have a farm in Queenstown?
And I am a beekeeper.
Is this your honey?
I have 250,000 bees, and this is some of our homemade honey.
How do you know how many bees you have?
Well, there's about 50,000 in a hive. It's an estimate. We don't do inventory on the bees.
I love it. Trey Ratcliffe, of course, everybody's favorite photographer. His website, Stuck in Customs. This is Stuck in Honey.
Yes.
I love it. Handcrafted artisan. I love honey.
We don't sell that or anything. It's just for gifts for people that we love.
Oh, well, thank you, Trey. That's really sweet of you. And the bees eat thyme, apricot, Viper's bug loss.
Yeah, it's a pretty purple flower.
And lavender.
Yeah.
I got to taste. Can I taste it?
Yeah, you can. It's pretty thick. You're going to end up with a sticky finger.
So you're in town, you're in August, you're going to do photo walks all over the United States.
Yes, this is actually a little bit secret, although it's going to be officially announced.
Did I just reveal something?
No, it's all right. We're going to announce it on the blog in the beginning of July. And we're going to do, we're getting like this big rock star tour bus that sleeps like 12 people.
I've always wanted to do this.
So we're starting in New York City,
and
we're going to hit the 12 biggest cities in the U.S., and we'll do huge photo walks in every city. These are totally free events. You know, the TWiD audience is super welcome. You can come out with me and take photos and get some tips. It's just going to be a nonstop party.
If they go to stuckincustoms.com in a few weeks, they'll have the details there.
Yeah, in early July. We have the whole route mapped out, what cities we're going to be in. Everywhere, New York, Miami, Chicago. It's going to be great.
There's lots of reasons to go to Stuck in Customs. Of course, Trey gives away his photography, puts images up on Instagram, on Facebook, on, of course, Google+, where you just show me you have 85 billion views with a B.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What the heck?
Yeah, they update it every day. It's just unbelievable. You know, I asked, I said, is this accurate? And they actually keep track of every time their servers have to serve up my images.
So it's real accurate. 85 billion views. Congratulations. But you know why?
It's crazy.
You're an amazing photographer.
Well, thanks. I just love taking photos. Occasionally, I take some pretty photos.
Oh, once in a while. Look at that. Is
Well,
that China?
Yeah, that's deep in the south of China. It took me 10 years to find that place.
That is gorgeous. Not Guilin.
Yeah. It's near Guilin. Yeah, and that's near the Li River. That's not the Li River.
Those amazing little towers of stone.
Yeah, it's karst rock. And it's actually the same thing that happens in the Grand Canyon, but in the Grand Canyon there's no fauna to hold back the erosion. And here, since there's so many trees and like vines and stuff, it holds it together.
They're incredible.
And so there's just a different kind of landscape.
So beautiful. I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I guess the big news I'd like to talk to you about, if you don't mind, is Sony. You're the guy who got me shooting with the A7. I remember when you very famously abandoned your Nikon, your D1, one of the best cameras in the world.
It was a D800, I think.
Well, you had shifted to the D800, right?
Right.
And
I
then
used all the Nikons.
Yeah. And then you said, you know what? I'm going mirrorless.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I got a lot of hate for that article. Actually, that article is now like 2 years old. And I mean, there's thousands of comments. And you know, there's a lot of DSLR people. I don't really mind if people want to use DSLRs. I've just explained all these very cogent, correct reasons why I've gone.
They're correct, ladies and gentlemen.
But I mean, a lot of these DSLR people are like, you can pry this out of my cold, dead hands. And I'm like, well, you know, maybe someone will someday.
You're shooting here the A7R. This is the first, one of the first, there was first the A7 and then the A7R releases of this. You can see immediately it's much smaller. You're using a Leica lens on this. And this is one of the advantages of the A7 is you can use an adapter and you can use any lens, a Nikon, a Canon, or in this case, the very nice glass from Leica. But I've heard people say, well, Trey's a landscape photographer. Of course he doesn't need a DSLR.
Well, that's of course, a ridiculous thing to say. Because, you know, this camera is great for any kind of photography.
I think
for portraits, for action, for sports. It's unbelievable. And, you know, the neat thing that just happened this week is Sony just announced the new versions of these two cameras.
Right.
Which are not small upgrades, they're major upgrades.
So the A7, the Alpha 7 series has the Alpha 7, the Alpha 7S, the Alpha 7R, the Alpha 7 II, which just relatively recently came out.
Right.
The newest one is going to be the top of the line. It's $3,000, the A7R Mark II. That's right. Tell me about that. What makes this is not it, by the way. It won't be out till probably next month or the month after.
I think I'll get my hands on it next month.
You can pre-order, I think, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I keep going to B&H, hitting that pre-order button, nothing happens.
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable. So the A7R, the reason I use this is because it's 36 megapixel, and I just want as much
super high resolution
megapixelage as possible.
Right.
Well, the new one, the A7R II, is 42.4 megapixels.
42.
Just enormous.
But wait a minute, Trey. We keep telling people, oh, don't worry about megapixels because then they get really small, and you're going to lose.
I would keep worrying about megapixels because if you look at like the Retina displays that are coming out, the big displays, there's more and more megapixels that we're pushing into our screens, and you might only be in these locations once, so you want to get as maximum resolution as possible. The screens will catch up with it.
I know you don't do this, but for photographers like me, where I often kind of miss the shot or the composition is not great, the ability to crop a high-resolution image down is very nice.
Yeah, you've got plenty of room to crop.
Yeah.
The other great thing about the A7R II that's coming out is it finally has this 5-axis stabilization.
Now, they came out with that. They actually, I guess they licensed it from Olympus because it's in the OMD cameras. They came out with that in the A7 II, and
That's right.
It's pretty amazing.
It's great because it lets you shoot in super low light. It makes all of your lenses, even the Leica lenses, it stabilizes all the lenses because the stabilization's in the body.
So it's not just handshake. Because you've got the stabilization, you don't have to have as high a shutter speed for a low light shot. Is that
That's
basically it?
right. It allows you to collect more light in a more steady way, right? So you can have a slower shutter speed, and you can also crank up the ISO. Like the A7R2 goes over 100,000 ISO.
Isn't that going to get
great.
grainy as heck, though? I mean,
It can get a little bit grainy.
Yeah.
But you know, if anyone uses Lightroom, there's that slider in Lightroom. Just drop that right down. And the algorithms are so good at getting rid of the grain nowadays. And also, frankly, the sad truth, you know, is that 99% of people that see your photo are going to look at it like on Facebook,
right.
or Instagram, or Google
Right.
Plus, or whatever. They're not going to zoom in and see the noise. So you have to think about your audience that's seeing it. You never see noise when you're zoomed out.
Right.
You see that little 480 pixel
Right,
version.
right.
So don't worry about the noise.
So this is your daily shooter right now, the A7R.
Yeah.
You're going to go to the R2, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. It's going to be fantastic.
I use the A7S, which is only 12 megapixels because
Right.
it's so good in low light.
Yeah.
But the other thing I like about the A7S is video, and that's one thing the R2 is going to be stunning.
The R2 does 4K video.
In camera.
In camera.
You don't need a separate recorder like you do with the
Yeah.
A7S.
No, it's fantastic. There's a lot of other new features too. Like now it has 399 autofocus points, phase detection system, so it will focus 40% faster than this one.
Wow.
They've also changed
We should
the way.
point out, by the way, right now, you don't get paid by Sony in any way.
No, I don't.
You
I
buy
do-
these cameras.
I get free cameras, but
Okay.
I get free cameras from everybody.
Right.
So that,
everybody
you know,
wants
it's an
Trey
even
to
playing
shoot with
field.
their, well,
no,
I don't
everybody's
get
does.
free cameras, and I still buy these because
Yeah.
they blow me away. And then the ability to use, say, a Leica lens, which you're doing with the body, I've even seen people say, like Steve Huff, actually, this is better than a Leica body. This is a great
Oh
body.
my gosh, yeah, the Leica bodies are terrible. I wish I don't know why Leica makes bodies.
They
They're-
make great lenses.
You know, they've got these horrible German masochistic UIs.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
good. Thank
I mean,
you.
I don't even think Germans like using them.
I was feeling bad. All right,
Yeah.
that's good to know. I'm trying to take the lens cap off. You've got some sort of safety
it's a
on
slider.
here. Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. It's good I didn't pry it off as I was about to.
Child-proof cap.
What is this lens? This is child or Leo proof. Yeah.
This is the 21 millimeter Summicron f1.4.
So it's wide. This is good
Yeah.
for landscapes. This would be great. Right?
It's great for landscapes. It's great for star shots. Some of my favorite star shots in New Zealand I've
You
taken
get
with this one.
amazing long exposures, and you can see the star fields moving. They're so
It's
beautiful.
great. You know, something I didn't realize is that you can see 70% more of the Milky Way when you're south of the equator. There's just more Milky Way. Yeah.
So that's why you moved to New Zealand.
That's one reason.
More
yeah.
Milky Way, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. That's a good reason to go.
Yeah.
Now, the Sony, this is their high-end professional camera, but they also make what many agree is the best pocket camera as well.
That would be this one right here, Leo.
Oh, you got
Forrest.
it too. Of course you. Look at that. Look at that star field. That is 70% more Milky Way, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's zoomed in. This is in
Is this near
Lake
Queenstown?
Tekapo. This is actually a World Heritage Site because the skies are so amazing there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's in Tekapo on the South Island of New Zealand.
Okay.
It's about a 3-hour drive from
You're an
Queenstown.
amazing man, I tell you.
So I tell you what, this
This is the
I love this camera.
RX
100.
100.
100.
And this is the new Mark IV of this. I bought, I think, the RX 102, maybe the 3. This is the 3 we're looking at right now.
And
So-
they just announced the 4.
So the 4, what's going to be new in the 4?
Well, 4 is unbelievable. Okay, because they're doing the same sensor stacking that they're doing on the new on all the Sonys.
Yeah.
It takes pictures at 16 frames per second, which is just remarkable.
So that's like a motor wind, so you can get sports shots or kids.
Yeah, it autofocuses all those shots. I think it has over 100 different focus points. It's super duper fast.
This is also going to do great video. In fact, what did you say, 960 frames per second?
Well, it does
super slow-mo?
It does 4K video by itself.
yeah.
But also you can go all the way up to 960 frames per second, or gradations of that down, 720.
Which would be good for
480.
slow motion.
Oh yeah, it's great
Slow-
for slow
yeah,
motion.
wow.
Really fun technique.
So you use both?
Yes, I use this a lot for quick street photography kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is primarily what I use at Burning Man, by the way, one of these little jobs.
Right.
You don't want this.
You don't want to bring. It's dusty there. You don't want to bring a great camera to Burning Man, right?
As long as it's not dusty, you can get out your good stuff. But it is dusty a lot,
Yeah,
so it's safe to keep. It's got this amazing viewfinder. Sony has the most incredible technology here.
Now, this is one thing I hear people say they don't like about mirrorless cameras is you're looking at a video tap instead of the optical. Is this an optical viewfinder? What
No, it's a video viewfinder. So you're seeing it's digital. You're seeing what's actually on the sensor. But
oh, that's interesting. The sensor is the camera.
Yeah.
Ah.
And it's the same way on the Sony A7.
Oh, I didn't realize
And
that.
so I think it's fantastic. All these people that are like, you know, they prefer optical. I think they're a little nuts because you're actually getting to see what the sensor is actually seeing.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm able to get much sharper photos with this because I can zoom in and I know that it's in focus. There's no doubt in the world. And I found even with my Nikon, my good Nikon systems, you know, you're optically focusing off the mirror, but then when the mirror pops up, if your sensor is just like half of a millimeter off, you might be a little bit soft. Like I got soft photos with my Nikon quite a bit.
That's the bane of photographers, because while it's all about composition, light, color, you also want the technical aspects to be correct.
Right.
And anything that's soft focus, you're going to lose the picture.
Yeah, that's right. It's so frustrating to come back with a soft photo. And every one of my photos with this thing has just been sharp as a tack. I'm able to zoom in and make sure it's good.
So the A7R Mark II is going to be a good choice. And this, you have the RX100 Mark III, but we're going to look at the Mark IV. How much will that be?
I think it's only $1,000.
Only $1,000. Okay.
We actually, on our, people ask me all the time what camera to get. And
for anybody that doesn't want to go pro, this is a great choice, right?
Yeah, we have some camera recommendations on the website. We have it like good, better, best. You know, the way Montgomery Ward's used to sell like washer and dryers. So we have good, better, best at 3 different price points.
So I follow Trey, as you all should, on Facebook, on Google+, on Insta. Your Instagram stuff is great, too. I didn't know you did Instagram until you were on a couple of weeks ago.
I do them all.
Yeah. The website is Stuck in Customs, a great place to go to learn HDR photography. He's got a great HDR tutorial. Learn about the Arcanum, which is the and really interesting. We talked about it last time you were on. School for masters and apprentices.
That's right. We call it the Magical Academy of Artistic Mastery.
I love it.
And, you know, Catherine Hall was just here. She's one of our masters.
She's a master, yeah.
And it's really fun because you come in as an applicant, you just want to get better at photography, right?
Yeah.
And you fill out this really fun form on the website, and then you kind of sit there in a vat of holding. That's what we call it, like an orphanage, until a master comes and selects you, right? So it's really cool because masters get to actually select who they want to teach. Every master picks about 20 apprentices. And then you start leveling up with all your apprentices. It's sort of like a game. You have quests.
I need to do this.
Man, it's great fun. You get critiques. It's
You've
incredible.
got some of my favorite photographers, not just Catherine Hall. Lisa Bettany is a master. Who else is a master on there?
We have all kinds of people, and people serve in various roles as masters.
There's some of the masters on the screen for those of you watching video.
Yeah, and you never know who's going to choose you. It's great fun. Everyone has something to learn. Everyone has something to teach, and
very nice.
We really feel like we're redefining photography education. We've got about 800 apprentices in there right now. People are loving it, so we're super thrilled.
Well, photography is my favorite thing to do when I'm not doing this, and you've been such an inspiration and a great friend. And I know you had pneumonia. You're feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm about 80%. I was just in the hospital a few days ago, in fact.
I know.
But I was like, I got to go get on Leo's show.
I can't believe it. He was. And Lisa said, well, no, he's in San Francisco. I said, no, he's in the hospital in New Zealand right now. I saw a picture of him and his daughters.
Yeah.
And but so you're feeling better though. Please don't.
No, I'm feeling better.
You got to take it easy.
You know, we should have talked about this before you kissed me.
Is it communicable?
Yeah.
Trey Ratcliffe, ladies and gentlemen, Stuck in There you are. I love that picture. You do look. I felt like, oh, Trey does not. He looks sad and unhealthy. But at least you had your family with you, and I'm glad you're feeling much better.
Oh, you know, when the kids are around, it always makes you feel better.
I know, isn't that great? Yeah. Well, everybody loves Trey Ratcliffe. Are you playing? I see. I'm just looking at the notes, and of course, I did not follow the notes. You're playing with the Phantom. The DJI Phantom.
The new Phantom 3 is incredible.
Are you drone photography too?
I do it all. I love the Phantom.
Well, come
that
back
thing is
and
amazing.
talk about it, will you?
Yeah. The Phantom 3 is insane.
Look at that shot. This is in the Forbidden City, right?
I got arrested in China for taking this. It turns out
they thought you were a spy.
It's called the Forbidden City for a reason.
Yeah, you're forbidden to shoot Phantom shots there. That was a beautiful shot, though.
Oh,
that was a beautiful shot.
I've always wanted that shot because you know you can't get up in the air in China. There's no helicopters. There's no private helicopters. So the only way to do it is just you gotta ride dirty with a quad
and get arrested.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad they let you go.
Just a short detainment.
That's my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah. Trey Ratcliffe, StuckInCustoms.com. We've got lots more. This is probably the biggest show we've ever done. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about lots more, but first, a word from our sponsor. We couldn't do this without our great sponsors, including Braintree. If you're a mobile app developer and you're looking for a way to do payments in your app, check out Braintree. It couldn't be easier. Just a few lines of code, and you are suddenly accepting everything. PayPal, Apple Pay, Bitcoin, Venmo, credit cards, and a whole lot more. It works across all platforms. And the most important thing is your customers will love it. You know that because Uber uses it. What is it people say about Uber? It was so easy. I just got out of the car. The payment, that's Braintree. Airbnb uses it. Lyft uses it. Hotel Tonight, Living Social, Muntree. GitHub started using it when they first began taking payments. They're using it now from your first dollar to your billionth dollar. They will scale with you. It is a full stack payment solution, and we love it. By the way, don't code this yourself. Superior fraud protection. They know about security. Braintree is a full stack payment solution. Everything your customers want, your customers will love it, and you should not be writing this code because they are experts, not only making it easy for your customers, but in fraud protection, in customer service, fast payouts to you. You'll like that. And it's a little sweetener, a little New Zealand honey in your tea. Braintree Payments is going to give you your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. Trey, you got to get your developers to use this. BraintreePayments.com. It's cool, isn't it?
Curtis, get on that.
Curtis. BraintreePayments.com/NSS. We thank them so much for their support of the new screensavers. Now, a little help. Time for some help me, help me, help me, help me.
Help, need somebody.
Let's sing a song, why don't we? Forget the rest of the show. Forget Sarah from Carlsbad. It's karaoke time. No, we can't do that to her. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Leo. Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Love the flowers. Are those real flowers? They're beautiful.
No, they're not.
Well, that's
look
nice.
real,
You don't have to
though.
water them. You don't have to do anything about it. It's like you dressed the set just for us. What can we do to help you?
Okay, so I've got an email problem. I've been using Thunderbird for years.
Love it.
And I started using Inbox when it rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the sorting, and I love the being able to file it in the different ways and the way it does it. But the only way I can get my IMAP email into it, my regular ISP email into it, is I have a filter in Thunderbird.
Right.
And as soon as something comes in, it automatically copies it over to the
I understand what you're
other
doing. Let me simplify, because there's a much easier way to do that. So just to explain, Thunderbird is great. It's been around forever. It's the Mozilla project. It is a very traditional, usually POP, but it can also do IMAP email client. I love it. It's a desktop client. So what it does, it goes out, it gets your mail, you read it, you respond to it, it sends it. Inbox is very different. Inbox is a interface that Google created about a year ago now, just for Gmail. It's a Gmail client. It doesn't, in fact, replace the existing Gmail web client. It's just another way of looking at another window into your Gmail. But it's great on mobile. We talked about this on iPad today. Did you ever end up using it, Sarah?
You know, I did a spin for a few days, and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. It's really gonna. It kind of wants to sort of machine learn habits and what's important and based on contacts and all sorts of factors. And I never quite got it to stick for me. It always felt a little too unnatural based on my learned behavior with email.
I meet people like that all the time.
Yeah,
it's
so
not for everyone.
Yeah, I abandoned it eventually, but I go in there every couple months and see what's changed.
The prerequisite, by the way, it's improved a lot. They've added signatures.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it is.
The prerequisite, of course, is that you're using Gmail. And a good test to see if you'll be a good candidate for Inbox, which is, by the way, no longer invite only. Anybody can get it at inbox.gmail.com, is to turn on the categorization, the automatic categorization in Gmail. You know, Gmail will let you have forums. What is it? Forums. There's a promos box. If you turn on those automatic categories and you feel good about it, then Inbox might be the next thing. But let me ask you, Sarah from Carlsbad, are you using Gmail as your main email client? No.
I'm not.
So that's the problem. You're using Thunderbird to go out and get email from your internet. Hey, who's that? Get in here. Who's that?
That's my son.
Hey, what's his name?
It's William.
She keeps pushing William. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm talking here. Hi, William. So, of course, Inbox is not going to work with your internet service provider or whatever's mail. You might want to use it. So here's what I suggest. You could continue to use Thunderbird if you want. You can even use Thunderbird the way you're using it, getting it. Just the key is not to delete from server. So that's a setting in Thunderbird. Don't delete the mail from the server if it's pop mail. Next thing you want to do is go into set up a Gmail account if you don't already have one. Anybody with a Google account.
I have one.
Yeah, of course you do. Who doesn't, right? And you can go in there and you can have Gmail get the mail, just like Thunderbird does, from your whoever else is.
But it's IMAP, so it won't do that.
Yeah, it will. Sure it will. Google will.
Not for my server. Not for my
It won't get it
ISP.
from your internet service provider?
Right.
Google
It gives
won't
me
do
an
it?
error every time.
And your ISP won't let you download it via POP. It'll only let you do IMAP?
No, they changed it a couple years ago for security, I think.
Ah, that makes sense. Spammers have ruined it for everybody, haven't they? Well, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Inbox really is just for Gmail, and I thought I had a clever solution, which was to get your email into Gmail and then use Inbox for it. So you're doing the next best thing. You're letting Thunderbird send it to your Gmail account.
Yeah. So I'm just going to have to watch it because I'm going on a trip next month, and so I was going to see if I could find a way to...
I'd switch ISPs, is what I would do. I think that's not nice. In fact, I don't use my ISP. I have Comcast. I don't use Comcast Mail for my mail for anything. I use Google Mail for everything because it's so flexible. You know, I can use an IMAP server at Fastmail. See, that's weird. I think your ISP is blocking it because I get my mail from Fastmail.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Google.
I have SarahLane.com email go through Gmail. Like, I only see it through a Gmail interface because
it's something your
why
ISP's
not?
doing.
Yeah, it's a bummer that they would restrict that.
But that is basically, if you think of Gmail as a window on, Inbox as a window onto your Gmail, then you'll understand. It's not a separate app. It's just a different way of looking at your Gmail. And that's why it has to be Gmail. Where are you going?
We're going to visit family.
And where is the family?
Some in Kansas and some in Tennessee.
Great. So you're going to have a road trip? Mm-hmm. Does William get to go, or are you going to leave him at home with a box of Cheerios?
No, William and Anna both get to go.
Well, that's nice of you. I think you're very nice. Is it really hot in Carlsbad right now?
Yes, sir. It's in the 90s.
Ay, ay, ay.
Which
But
is it probably gets a lot hotter, too.
It's a dry heat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I talked to Tanya the other day, it was 107.
Ooh.
Sarah,
So 90 is positively balmy.
yeah, it's cooling off.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry
Get
about.
a light coat. That weather like that. Brr.
Sarah, it's great to talk to you. All the best.
Thank
Have
you.
a great road trip.
Thank you.
And say hi to William for me. Where is he? Is he over there?
He'll do.
I'm looking. Is he behind here?
He got his cameo, and now he's out, hanging out in the dry heat.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Megan Maroney is, oh, by the way, if you want to be on the show, we'd like you to. Remember, Father Robert Balassier joins Robert Heron next week as I'm on vacation. Here's how you can get on the show.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
I am Megan Maroney, and you might know me from such shows as iOS Today, i5 for the iPhone, and Tech News Tonight. But I know a thing or two about other stuff. For example, YouTube. You probably already know that you can pause or restart a video with the space bar, but did you also know that you could go back 5 seconds with the left arrow? This can be helpful if you're watching any of my shows because sometimes I talk very fast. You can also go forward 5 seconds with the right arrow. This can be helpful watching my shows because sometimes I am very boring, but only for 5 seconds, I promise. You can use numbers to skip ahead in videos too. The numbers represent percentages of the total time of the video. So hit 1 to go forward 10%, hit 2 to go forward 20%, and 5 to go forward to the halfway point of the video, or 50%. For full screen, just hit F. To get out of full screen, hit Escape. You want to watch in slow-mo, hit Shift, the plus sign, and the less than sign. To speed me up, try Shift, the plus sign, and the greater than sign. This last tip won't work in all browsers.
Okay, this is a really exciting part of the show because not only am I joined by Holly Gans, who has some very interesting scientific stuff to talk about, but you are holding a real kitten. Therefore, this is the best. Look at this girl. This is Venom. This is Tanya Hall's cat, who I have just learned comes to Twit, and is like an office cat. My cats would never do that, and is super adorable. But this is actually this actually ties into what we're going to talk about because, okay, so I understand that you had a Kickstarter project, which was very successful. In fact, you asked for several $1,000s. You ended up raising well over $20,000. So right on, Kickstarter's over. But this is a project to map the microbiome, is that correct?
That's correct.
Of cats, and that's domestic cats and big cats, big wild cats. Come here, you little rascal. So what does that mean? I'm not familiar with the microbiome of cats or anything.
Yeah, definitely that's the place to start. So the microbiome are all the tiny things that live in and on us, like bacteria and fungi and other little tiny things that are microscopic.
Bye. Goodbye, my love. All right. Yes.
Yes, so
I'm back.
The microbiome, all the tiny things, bacteria, fungi, protists, other little things that live in and on us, and viruses, and and they affect our health, our metabolism, our nutrition, our immune system.
And a lot of that stuff is like, we've got it inside us and it's good, right?
Yes, most of them are beneficial.
Right, okay. So, I love the photo here on the, we're looking at the Kickstarter site for Kitty Biome. So what is it about what's inside cats specifically that's of interest to you and the public?
We're interested in cats because we love cats.
Well, I hear that, sister.
There's a number of projects on humans, but we thought that it would be important to understand what makes cats healthy.
So the idea is that if you can somehow learn more about the flora and kind of just sort of the gut inner workings of a cat, you would be able to better keep the cat healthy, treat diseases, that sort of thing.
Yeah, there are lots of cats that have similar conditions as people in terms of irritable bowel disease and diabetes, obesity.
Cats sometimes have problems with kidneys. That's a pretty common thing for cats, especially when they get older.
That's right.
So, all right, so what will the Kitty Biome do? So, you know, if I say, all right, I've contributed to the Kickstarter, I'm excited, you guys are getting into production soon, I think you said next month?
That's right.
So what will I get? How will I participate? How is this going to change my life?
Well,
my cat's lives.
If you sign up your cats or cat, we'll send you a sampling kit, and it will contain a swab and some gloves and a stick and a tube, and you collect a very, very tiny amount of cat poop. Put it in the tube, which contains ethanol, and shake it up, and then put it in an envelope and mail it back to us. We're going to sequence it using the Illumina MiSeq. So we're using contemporary genetics and actually look at this variable region of the bacterial genome to characterize all the bacteria in that sample. And then what you're going to get back is access to an interactive website where you can look at what's in your cat and see how your cat compares to cats with health conditions, cats of different breeds, different kinds of cats. We have in our study already, I'm doing work with wild puma, leopard, lion, and cheetahs. So you can also see how the domestic cat compares to some of the wild cats.
Getting that poop is probably a little bit more challenging than going into the litter box for my cats because they're all indoors.
Yeah.
It's like that's a whole other project.
It is, yeah. But
Do they bury it too? Does a puma bury its poop?
The scat, you know, I actually don't know. I mean, we usually are getting the puma. So we have a collaborator who's collecting the puma samples, and he's doing it when he actually darts them.
Got it. Okay.
So, and then if sometimes an animal gets darted, they just poop right then. So we're getting them very fresh.
So, all right. So is this almost like 23andMe for cats? But also to know what's actually going on right now, not just what my family history is.
Yeah,
what a cat's family history is.
We definitely, I'm a big fan of 23andMe, and that's sort of what I had in mind, was to do something like that, but for the microbiome of cats.
Like, for example, why do some cats like carrots?
Yes.
I mean, that cat is loving it.
How do carrots affect the microbes in your cat's gut?
You know, yeah, like what is that, like would we got a vitamin A deficiency happening here? Is that how he gets his eyes so orange? Who knows?
The cats are obligate carnivores, so all of this is really weird.
It's weird, yeah, well, they're, you know, yeah, I don't know, it's where this is happening. That's like a cat eating watermelon. You can do better than that, buddy. You can do better. So okay, so let's say, all right, I've got my sample, I mail it in, you do a bunch of, you know, you run a bunch of tests. I mean, is the best case scenario that you say, your cat's really healthy, there's just nothing going on in there that's of concern to you?
Right, so we're definitely not at the point where it's a diagnostic test where we can say that, you know, you have this ratio of different kinds of bacterial groups and there's a probiotic that you should take. But that's sort of the goal, I think, in the, you know, in the next 10 years or in the you know, I mean, for humans, they aren't at that point either.
Right.
But we have to start by first characterizing what a healthy cat is and how much variation is there among healthy cats. And then hopefully we can use that information to develop therapies.
Yeah, and you know, heredity is, as I'm sure it is in humans, I mean, that really plays a big part. You know, I have 2 cats who are the same age. They're in good health for the most part. One of them has really bad teeth, and it's like they've eaten the exact same food next to each other for 8 years, and the other cat doesn't seem to have the problem. And it's just, that's something that goes back in his lineage.
Yep.
His parents had bad teeth. His sister has a snaggletooth. You know, so that's cool. Now see, I love cats, and cats love pancakes. I mean, that's kind of everybody's dream right now.
Not a mouse.
Right. So I'll have to ask you this, Holly. There's no way that you would do something like this unless you were like an extreme cat person, correct? There's got to be a lot of people who are super into science and is smart enough to be able to you know, kind of understand the mechanisms of what you're doing. A lot of people are like, wow, you know, science is pretty involved. But to do this specifically for cats, you've got to be like on another level of cat fandom.
Well, there's a group of us, and I will say at least 3 of us are pretty fanatical about cats. We have one dog lover who loves genetics.
Right. So it's still a really good project to work on. So
Yes.
how many of you are working on it together?
I mean, there's 4 of us who started it, but then we have 3 interns working this summer at animal shelters collecting cat samples for us.
Nice.
Yeah, there's our collaborators on our website. We have some amazing interns, and then we have a couple of veterinarians who we're collaborating with as well.
So if I'm at home watching this segment right now, I mean, I'm standing here, but if whoever's at home watching this segment and says, I really want to get involved, where's the best place to start?
So our Kickstarter's over, but there's a button on the Kickstarter page that you can click on, and it will take you to our UC Davis giving site where you can still join and have your cat signed up, and we'll send you the sampling kit. They'll be ready to go out at the end of July.
I have to say one note about the Kickstarter itself. I mentioned at the beginning of the segment that you raised a lot more money than you asked for. You had told me before the show started that, you know, you kind of set the number conservatively because you want it to be a success, and you know, you just don't want to go too nuts. But it really goes to show you how much interest there was, even beyond maybe your best case scenario.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely chose too low a target, but I just didn't want to stress about it and had never done a Kickstarter before.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So we raised more than 7 times what our initial goal was. We think that cats are an amazing outreach, not just so I care about cat health, but we also think that cats are a great way to reach out to people and get them excited about science and about the research that's going on in the microbiome right now.
Yeah. How many cats do you have?
Actually, I don't currently have any cats.
No?
But I would like to. I do foster care for the Humane Society and the East Bay.
Noble profession, foster care people. We have a foster care person who works here at TWiT, Anthony. Yeah, that's good work that you're doing. Holly Gans, thank you so much for coming to the show and telling us more about the kitty biome.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Absolutely. All right, coming up, we have a blast from the past, in fact. Paul Block, our executive producer of the Screensavers, is actually going to join Leo and I. I didn't even know he was going to be here until like right before the show. It's blowing my mind a little bit. And after that, we're going to answer your email.
Hi, I'm Matt Richardson, product evangelist for Raspberry Pi. I travel a lot for work and pleasure, and I do want to remember all these places I've been and what I've done. So when I'm traveling with people at the end of a long day of doing a lot of stuff, I'll sometimes turn on the voice recorder on my phone and gather people around who I've been traveling with and ask everyone to kind of recount what happened that day, talk about what we saw, what we did, kind of like recording your own little podcast. And it serves as a good memento for the trip, and it's a lot of fun just to do it, to recount it, and then you have something that you can save for posterity and share with all your friends. It's another dimension to taking pictures and saving pictures from a trip as well.
Thank you, Matt. Matt Richards, you may remember he is the Raspberry Pi evangelist we had on a few episodes ago. Sarah, it's so great to have you on the show, but I have to say, it's kind of a shock, isn't it, when you came in the door?
Yeah.
Does it feel like old times a little bit to see Mr. Paul Block?
Yes. I didn't know that Paul was going to be here, but
Leo told me you were co-hosting.
It's so exciting. because we all worked together for a long time, every day on the Screensavers on Tech TV. It was
almost 5 years.
Was it that long?
2001 to 2006.
So they brought in Paul because you were a Hollywood big shot.
Well,
I know you don't. I know you dispute that.
I
But
was an entertainment producer.
you had worked for the Carson Show as a booker.
Yeah.
You did an
I was a
Alan Thicke
producer.
show. You'd done a lot of producing of really important shows, and they thought we could use a little glamour, a little dressing up.
What they said to me was, we have 450 geeks who work here.
Yeah.
We need somebody who knows how to produce television shows. That's what they said. Those were their words.
And it was true.
And I'm not going to say who said it because he's still alive.
Peter Hammersley.
I'm not going to say who said it because
Greg Drebin. It was one of the two. We know
keep
that.
forgetting Drebin's name. I should remember that because of Leslie Nielsen.
Lieutenant Drebin. That's right. So your job was.
Frank Drebin.
Huh?
Frank Drebin.
Frank Drebin.
Frank, yeah. Your job was to take a bunch of unruly geeks and turn them into entertainment.
Yeah, to turn
Now-
the show into entertainment with the hopes of raising ratings.
Well, they gave up on that, I think.
No,
After a while, we were like, okay, ratings that's secondary.
We would just like to make money. Let's just make money.
Well,
Let's
that's
just
how you
put
make
60
money.
minutes of show together every day.
Not worry about it.
the ratings went up considerably over the period of time that we were there.
Good.
And they made money, and they went into the black in
For
their
one
last-
quarter.
in that last quarter of the year,
Yeah.
where they sold it.
Right. Interesting timing, isn't that?
Interesting timing.
Yeah, we're profitable. Sure we are. So you made a lot of changes. The Dark Tipper, Kevin
Dark
Rose.
Tipper.
Yep.
He wasn't even on camera talent, but when you
I
arrived.
loved Kevin, and Kevin was not the greatest PA in the world.
Production assistant. That was his job.
He was like supposed to work for Yoshi, and that didn't work out very well.
Was he lazy?
No, he just was like, I'm not listening to him.
And I just liked Kevin so much that I said, look, we got to do something to make it work.
Well, he's good. He was a good-looking kid. He was very smart. And
personable.
It started when he found a bug in Microsoft Windows. We reported it to Microsoft.
I was trying to remember. It was like he knew something.
He knew something.
And so that was his big thing, is like, can you explain this on the chalkboard on the show?
We said, why should we explain it? You discovered the bug.
Yeah.
And you must have thought you saw something in him.
I did. And I said, let's do something to use your talents. He was a hacker. I said, let's do something. Let's do dark tips. Let's call you the Dark Tipper. What you should do is stuff that is just this side of maybe legal that we can show people at home what to do. And that was his job. And he'd come on, and people loved it. People loved the Dark Tipper.
They still ask me all the time, and Kevin's been on the show.
I did not create the name The Twisted Lister.
That's Martin Sargent.
That's Martin Sargent.
I forgot about that.
But that's Peter Hammersley's creation.
He was
Twisted
so
Lister.
the program director was Greg Drebin, a guy they brought in from MTV. He was later replaced by
Greg
Brannon. Yeah,
Greg Brannon.
the late Greg Brannon. He passed away.
Nice man.
But the supervising producer, the guy who really kind of was hands-on with it, was Peter Hammersley.
He was the head of production, VP production.
Yeah.
He was over all the shows they did there.
Right.
And for a little while, Henry Kaiser was in there too.
Henry was your predecessor as EP of the Screensavers.
And then he
What is an
became-
executive producer? What do you
It's
do?
a title.
That's what I am now.
It's a showrunner.
I don't know what I do.
It's a showrunner.
That's really what you are. And nowadays we know the term showrunner from people like David Chase, who ran The Sopranos. So your job was to get that show on the air every day.
To get it on the air in an entertaining fashion. Try to book the things that people at home are going to enjoy watching, that you're going to enjoy doing. So if you enjoy it, you're going to put what you got
The
into it.
enthusiatum will come out.
Yeah.
And we did that show 5 days a week for a while, 90 minutes,
and then
5 days a week.
Then the further concept was to change the concept. It was, the audience was, when I got there, and even when I left, the audience was always primarily young males.
Yeah. Still is, by the way. That's all. We're 95% male audience. Not young so much.
And so
mostly old
as
men.
much as I
They were young once, though, watching the Screensavers.
You know what? It's so great. And you should know this, Paul. You probably do know this. But I run into people almost every day. People who come here, people I see. I was just down in Los Angeles. Somebody came up to me. I watched the Screensavers. Many of the time, I grew up watching the Screensavers. I became a geek because of the Screensavers. We had a huge impact on a whole generation.
We created community. That's one of the most important things we did. The people who were part of our audience felt like they were part of the show. We had our website The Screensavers website was making money before anybody else on the internet was making money.
$1 million a year.
$1 million a year. And we learned how to do it.
Yeah.
You learned how to promote it. We kept promoting it.
Yep.
We kept putting things on the internet that was sort of a little bit of a continuation of what we did on the show.
We were hobbled, though, by cable contracts.
Yes.
We couldn't put more than 10 minutes of any given show on.
Right.
Nowadays, if we had been able to do that, well, we are kind of. I mean, I learned so much from you and about building community, about trying to make an entertaining product.
I learned so much from you about computers. You have no idea. I couldn't even design a business card when I showed up.
I remember our first lunch. We all went out together. We thought, who is this guy? He's coming from Hollywood. What kind of guy is this going to be? And it was really, actually,
well, I
think
tried
we hit it
really
off
hard for the first month to keep my mouth shut and just watch
learn.
and
No,
just
you
learn.
didn't.
Yes, I did.
What month were you?
Now, when
were
you came,
remembering?
Sarah Lane was a producer, not
No,
talent.
I
Paul-
hired her.
Yeah, Paul and I came together.
He hired you.
I
Well,
hired her.
Yeah, yeah.
Henry Kaiser said to me, "You're looking for another whatever it was. Well, I want you to meet Sarah Lane."
Very talented TV producer on Channel 4 and KRON here in the Bay Area.
We overlapped a little bit.
Yeah, we
well,
never
didn't
worked together.
overlap,
We
but
didn't know each
we
other.
worked on the same show at one point.
New Media News. Yeah.
I also brought in
Morgan Webb. She was a researcher.
She was a researcher with a major in rhetoric from some school someplace, and
Berkeley.
Berkeley, and I wanted to put her on camera. I thought that she belonged on camera.
Did you think Sarah belonged on camera?
I did, and that's one of the reasons I hired her.
I remember the first segment that we did. I was wearing a red shirt, and we were talking about, I don't know, something or other. And I remember I remember where we were
Like it was
standing,
yesterday,
and
probably.
I remember being nervous,
Yeah.
I'm
and
going to tell a little story about Morgan. I hope she doesn't get upset if she watches this.
She does watch.
We did. Remember, we used to do a show where once we did a show where everybody wore kilt on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember it very well.
Everyone wore kilt,
Yeah.
including Morgan.
Yeah. She looked good in that kilt.
And then I said to her the next day, I said, Morgan, I know I got to be politically correct. I don't want to be sexist. I don't want to be any of that kind of stuff.
It's like the old days.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
And I said, you know, in that kilt yesterday, you looked great.
She did.
And
she was pretty much the only one who did, I might add.
And I really think,
I was not in the kilt.
And I really think that at least a couple or 3 times a week you should wear a skirt.
I remember this. I remember
this is a real thing.
This
that,
is
that
not
happens.
I totally remember this conversation.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
And
what was her reaction to that?
Great
Paul?
story.
Her reaction was, she was, first of all, as pleasant as she could be.
Yes, she's
she
very
did not
sweet.
rebound or
No.
revolt.
She didn't
Her
slap you.
reaction to me was, would you like me to also show a little cleavage? I said, I don't think we're going that far. I said,
I don't remember that part of the story at all.
I said, a skirt every.
Am I?
I said a skirt.
To your credit, and I think I remember when we had that first lunch, you said, when I told people that we were there, that's all kilt day. When I told people that we were going to.
Oh my God, there it is.
Yeah. We were going to, you said, when I told people that I was going to go up to San Francisco and do this thing called the Screensavers, they said, well, we have one word of advice for you, cleavage. And I remember you telling us that and saying, and I'm not going to do that. And you never, to your credit, you never did do that.
I didn't. And I just said, not jeans every day.
Yeah, just
a
a skirt.
a couple of times.
But no cleavage. We don't need that.
A little variety.
A little variety.
variety.
She did look good in that. I don't know if you have. Can you find Morgan in the kilt?
I don't remember anyone ever saying to us no cleavage. Let's just set the record straight.
You weren't. You were. Yeah. It's, now
I don't
it was a
think-
little bit of
it
a
wasn't
mini
like we
kilt.
were required.
And you see a lot of knobbly knees there. There's Darcy. I don't remember who that. Even one of the camera operators is wearing a kilt.
What was his name? I think it was.
There's Steve Porter.
Now, I just want to point out.
Javier. His name was Javier.
There's Megan. Did you see Megan on the list? But I just want to point out, I also was wearing a kilt, pleated kilt. And one thing I did not know at the time is the pleats, and you probably know this as a woman, catch the air. And I did a little pirouette. And the kilt goes, woo! And unfortunately, and I think this is actually on that video, I was able to do a Marilyn Monroe and push it down before too much.
I want to know, were you wearing anything under your quilt?
I think Patrick advised me that I should not.
All right.
He said for
It just seems so wild and free, you know? Put the undies on.
All right.
Hey, what are you doing these days, Paul? You retired, right?
I retired. I moved to Portland, where my wife Sheila has the Lane Gallery.
A great artist.
And my daughter Kiva has a place called Kiva, which is a spa, tea bar, and cafe.
Nice.
And it's doing very well.
K-I-V-A.
Yeah. And Shauna just sold her restaurant, which was called, coincidentally, Blocks.
Both of your daughters ended up as chefs.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Well, Shauna is now
chances?
now here someplace in the Bay Area. We're here for a wedding.
That's wonderful. And Sheila Lane is here, your beautiful wife. The picture of you at Woodstock, you and Sheila in 1969.
She found it.
That's so amazing. It is so great to see you, Paul. And sincerely, I thank you because I learned so much about what we do today from working with a pro. It was really a great value.
I enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite jobs in all of television.
Well, I think Sarah and I agree it was probably our favorite job of all time. I don't think anybody who worked...
It was a great little period of my life, for sure.
I went from there into the cauldrons of hell.
What was that?
I'm still in them. That was it.
We'll talk about that off the
air. All right. Hey, thank you, Paul Block, our Blast Pass. I know you got to get going. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Why are we shaking?
Aww.
Come here.
And we're gonna get a look at the mailbag. We still do a mailbag, believe it or not.
That's far out.
We created it on the Screensavers because we had to stretch. This show. No stretching. We go on and on. Thanks, Paul. Great to see you. As long as we can go. Hey, it's time for the mailbag. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll in the mail. Hello, mail.
I like how the mail's delivered to your chair. You don't even need to
I don't have to get
the
up.
Front.
And then I open this. Sometimes there's something in here. I just wanted
And there is.
There is. I just wanted to warn you. Here, I'll give you a couple.
Thanks.
And go ahead, you start.
All right. We got an email from Neil who says, I used to be an aerobatic pilot.
Wow.
So I know a thing or two about what causes motion sickness.
Yes, we were talking about VR and how you get queasy.
People complain about that. He says, I keep hearing you describe how you and others suffer from motion sickness from VR products. When you turn an aircraft upside down, some folks get sick straight away. However, your tolerance builds over time. So Neil's saying, give VR time, it will get better. The reason for the problem is if your brain gets clashing signals from vision and then your inner ear, it thinks you've been poisoned.
Wow.
And it wants to evacuate the contents of your stomach. But over time, it learns this is a false alarm.
I've been poisoned.
Neil says, trust me, I'm an upside-down pilot, at least I used to be. Now I'm a geek who listens to Twit and walks the dogs instead.
Thank you, Neil.
All kidding aside, I've noticed that, and I think we've talked about it like on iPad Today before, that I used to get really car sick if I read at all.
Yeah, I can't do that.
There's just no reading.
Yeah.
And because I'm on my phone all the time.
You're used to it now.
And and I take a lot of Ubers. I live in a city, so it's like I'm kind of in the back of essentially a cab a lot. It's like my motion sickness from reading has gone away because I'm just doing it more.
You no longer think you're poisoned. You're just in an Uber.
But I don't even get I mean, it used to be really like, oh God, I really feel sick. Rolled on the window, And now I'm like, I can read anything. I trained myself to get, to get through it.
I've come around a little bit on VR. I got, because I have a Galaxy phone, I was able to get the Samsung Galaxy Gear VR visor, and I've been looking at stuff. It's actually kind of amazing. There's a Cirque du Soleil where you're in the middle, and you look around, and there's performers all around you. It's really...
And have you felt that sickness feeling?
No, but then I gave it to Lisa, and she, within 30 seconds, said, no, I'm not going to do it. So I think maybe you do get used to it.
And maybe some people will just always be like, ooh. But I mean, people are weird. Some people don't ride escalators because it makes them motion sick.
Really?
Actually, only one person that I know of in my life didn't do that, but it was super annoying to hang out with her because you always had to find the elevator.
When you went to the mall, you'd go to the mall.
It'll make me all sick. I can't do it. I was like, oh, you're a nightmare.
Pale from Manila writes, hi, New Screensavers. Is it possible to use the Plex app on your iPad, but stream the audio to your Sonos system? No, it's not. If not, what would be a good alternative? If you use the Sonos as a home theater speaker system, that's the only way you can do it. So Sonos makes a sound bar. You can add the subwoofer and the surround sound as well.
I have my Sonos hooked up into the existing system.
The audio out of your TV for that, then anything you play to your TV, that's your sound system. So you have to do that. You have to hook it up to the TV, and you actually have to set up the Sonos as you have to make it be your sound for the TV.
Yeah.
But that will work. You can't, though, be sitting and watching your iPad and have the Sonos do it.
Because the iPad would require the Plex app to be, like, you have to choose one.
Right.
It's the Sonos app or it's the Plex app.
Well, the sync would be a problem. There'd be a terrible sync.
Yeah.
It would get to the Sonos at a different time than the video gets on the screen. So it's not a good idea. But hook it up to your TV. It works great that way. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. By the way, I know a couple of people have written to me. We did not write, but there exists Kodi, an app, a TWiT app for the Kodi system and for the Plex system. And apparently our new website broke it. That's actually not what happened. The developers, and we don't know who they are. If it's you, please contact us. We'd love to help you out, api@twit.tv. They, for some reason, maybe it's the same guy, they both used the RSS feed that we never published, we never told you about from the TWiT website that was all the shows, and that's how they got the directory information. That was not supported, and it's gone away because we no longer use that Drupal feed. So, but we can solve this because we have a great API that'll make it much easier for you to do what you want to do. So please, I apologize, it's not our app, so we can't fix it. But if you were using Kodi or Plex to watch TWiT on your big screen TV, that's why it stopped working. And if you know the developers or you are the developer, contact me because I'll fix it. api@twit.tv. You have the final question.
Brandon from Franklin, Indiana says, I have a quick question. I'm a recent college graduate, and I've accepted a work-at-home position, and the company I'm working for is sending me a brand new iMac. But we have a problem. I've been a Windows user since the beginning of time. I have some Linux knowledge, Ubuntu and Kali Linux, but I was wondering if you could recommend a website or a book that would help me transition to the OS X world.
I don't think you need a book, Brandon. I think you'll figure it out pretty quick, don't you?
Apple really hold your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a fun time to get into OS X for the first time, you know?
Instead of a control panel, you've got the system preference pane, but once you get in there, you're going to immediately understand what that is.
Because it's such a, no matter when, that if you're somebody who was like, oh, I was Windows user since the beginning of time, and then you move to Mac, or move to OS X, what's now OS X, it's like, it is a big difference. You'll get used to it quickly, but it's like, I mean, I remember when I was like...
Did you make that move? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I bought my first MacBook, and then I was like, oh, all right, I love this.
It's all minor things, like the menu bar in Windows in the bottom, on the Mac it's on the top.
Yeah, you're going to find all the same stuff, your system preferences.
It's all still
you
there.
find whatever you need in there.
There are a couple of things, a couple of resources. David Pogue's OS X, The Missing Manual, is a very good introduction to OS X and has helpful chapters for Windows users moving to OS X. And you know, the other thing you remember is you can run Windows very nicely on that iMac. They have a very simple way to do it. You could either run it as a full-blown Windows machine, or you can use an emulator like VMware Fusion and do it that way. But if you want to run Windows on your Mac actually makes an excellent Windows machine. You can have the best of both worlds.
I remember the first time I had my laptop and I was working at G4 because I remember my coworker who I was talking to, and I was like, okay, I just have like a weird question, like I want to uninstall this application and like I don't understand, like where do I run the uninstaller?
And
he was like, this is this cool thing about how Macs work. You know, you just drag the icon to the trash and that's the end of it. And I was like, really? That's so easy.
But where's the uninstaller?
Yeah, and where are all the residual files?
Well, unfortunately, you know what? Now on the Macintosh, there are residual files.
Yeah, it's
and you wish you had an uninstaller.
Right, but it was sort of just one of those things where Mac people were always used to that, and I thought it was magic.
Yeah.
Because I was just used to Windows being a little bit more complicated.
You know what's magic? Seeing you again, sitting in this chair, looking at you after so many years of doing iPad Today. We miss you.
I miss you guys too. It's really nice to be here. You know,
come back anytime.
It seems like besides me, everyone's still here. Like nothing, like no time has passed at all.
Nobody ever leaves TWiT, except you.
Well, yeah, I'm the only one. But I stayed a really long time before I left.
I know, sweetie. And things are going well at AOL and TechCrunch. You having a good time?
Yeah.
Executive producer of TechCrunch TV, and you have your own show.
Radio. I do, yeah, Crunch Report. We do Monday through Friday.
Every afternoon. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really fun. That's sort of my creative outlet. But there's a lot of other stuff.
There's stuff behind the scenes we don't see.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a whole team, and working with writers who don't necessarily do video, but some of the stuff that they'd be writing about would make a good video. There I am. That was Friday.
Yep.
You guys might remember that shirt. I've had it for like 400 years.
I was
I've worn
say,
it over the years.
Don't we own that shirt? I guess.
No, I bought that at a consignment store with my own, probably $6. So really, it was an old shirt when I got it. But yeah, no, life is good.
Good. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Thanks for being here, all of you. We do this show every Saturday afternoon right after the radio show, about 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. Please watch live, participate in the chat room. We love that. But, of course, on-demand versions of every show we do, now available on the brand-new Twit website, twit.tv/NSS, on youtube.com/The New Screensavers, and you could subscribe on any platform imaginable, except for Plex and Cody. We have to fix that. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on The New Screensavers. Bye-bye, everybody. Muted applause. We're just going to boost that up.